Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 128. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm your host, Chris, as always, standing here instead of sitting here. I'm usually sitting in a seat, but you know what? My desk does the hydraulic standing thing, so guess what? I'm standing here. I'm going to do an album review, and I want you to be here for it. You know, I've got my opinions on it. I've reviewed it. I want to hear your opinions on it as well. That's how this whole thing works. So it's going to be a lot of fun today. Just remember, too, that if you like what you see and or hear today, there's one thing, a bunch of things, or all the things I'm going to list that you can do to help show your support for the show. Like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. 6 quick, free, and easy things that you can do either right now or throughout the duration of the podcast to show your support. It means the world to me. Thank you very much if you choose to do so. And of course, you can find all the places to do those things over at ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. The streaming links, the social media links, the RTR album rating chart, so everything is there listed from highest score to lowest. That's the natural order of it. You can put it in any order you want, though. That's fine. It's a Google sheet. It's fine. You can go check that out. And of course, there is the optional financial way to support the show as well that can be found over at that site. And it's the RTR Club. It's $3 a month in Canadian currency at the very least, but $3 a month will get you early access to episodes, sometimes upwards of 72 hours. You can request an album for me to do here on the show. You'll get a shout out on social media and whatever episode is closest to the point where you actually join the RTR Club. If you have a band, I'll happily review your songs or a song, so that way I can kind of combine it into a bigger video with other bands and then just make a cool YouTube video about it, highlighting your music. And of course, just a quick, free, and easy way to chat with me as well. It's probably the fastest way to do it. All of that found at the RTR Club, once again, at ratetherecord.ca. I gotta get used to this standing thing. I'm moving around a lot. I understand that if you're watching the video version of this. I apologize, but that's what it is. Just trying out something new. I'll try to be still, but I guarantee nothing. But you know what I do guarantee is that we have an album review today. And for episode 128, I decided to try an album that I've actually not listened to fully, ever. Despite the fact that as I was in high school, this was one of the biggest bands there were around, period, in the alternative metal scene. And of course, I'm talking about Evanescence and their 2002 debut studio album, Fallen. Yeah, this thing was a juggernaut, and obviously the singles off this thing were also massive as well. To this day, can still very well be felt in like the pantheon of like pop and metal and everything like that. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm surprised I've not listened to this whole thing. I mean, back when I was in high school, I was one of the people making fun of this album. It's like, oh, it's so edgy, funny. Well, you know, I've grown up and I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a chance. I can tell you what I thought about the album. Of course, that's what I'm going to do today. But first, let me tell you a little bit more about the album itself. Fallen is the debut studio album by alternative metal band Evanescence. The album was released March 4th, 2003, and was released through Wind Up Records, who has also released albums for bands such as Creed, The Darkness, and Finger Eleven, among others. The album was recorded at 4 different studios across California: Track Record Studios in North Hollywood, Ocean Records in Burbank, NRG Studios in North Hollywood, and Conway Studios in Hollywood. The album was produced by guitarist of alt-rock band Ugly Kid Joe, Dave Fortman. Dave has produced for bands such as Mudvayne, Slipknot, and many more. As of this album, the band initially consisted of Ben Moody on guitars, percussion, and programming, and Amy Lee on vocals and arrangements. This album features many guest musicians, notably Francisco De Cosmo on bass, and Josh Freese on drums and percussion. The album performed relatively well with critics across the board. Some scores included a 4.5 out of 5 from AllMusic and Billboard, 4 out of 5 from Spin Magazine, and a B- from Entertainment Weekly and The Village Voice. The album appeared on 37 charts worldwide, dominating 31 of them in the top 10. 12 of them had the album at number 1 on 2 Australian charts, 2 UK charts, Austria, Canada, Denmark, Europe, Finland, Portugal, Scotland, and the US. The album also hit number 19 on the Billboard Best Albums of the Decade list. The album hit Diamond certification in the US and 59 times platinum across the world, including 7 times certification in Canada and 6 times in Australia. The album spawned 4 singles: Bring Me to Life, which hit number 1 on 11 different charts and went 17 times platinum; Going Under, which peaked at number 2 on 2 different charts out of many and was certified platinum and 3 times gold; My Immortal, which hit number 1 on 5 different charts and was certified 6 times platinum; and Everybody's Fool, which peaked as high as number 3 in Belgium. there you go. A little bit more about the album, just in case you didn't know all these like major things that were happening for the album. Yeah, as I said, it was kind of a juggernaut in the early 2000s, so it should be really interesting to dig into this one. Just gonna note something real quick. So if you've watched the podcast in the past, you'll know that bonus tracks don't really ever get scored on the show. It's only the original track listing. Now you'll notice that My Immortal's on here twice, number 4 and number 12. Number 12 being the band version, and the band version is the one that people are aware of from the music video. The one at number 4, and I'll talk about it when we get there, is actually a demo version of the song and not the full band version that should have been the actual version on the album. So I'm going to be ranking the songs with My Immortal based on the one that's at number 4, but I'm definitely going to keep number 12 in mind because it is still technically the same song, just done slightly differently. But I am going to be ranking My Immortal as it is, but also just going with the band version. It's kind of confusing, I get it. Apparently the label's stupid about it. I'll talk about it more when we get there. But first, we should actually start with the first song. And I mean, this album is front-loaded. The singles are the first 4 tracks. So let's start with number 1, Going Under.
Now I will tell you what I've done for you.
Alrighty then, the first single out of the way entirely there. And also I just kind of noticed too how it says the album was released March 4th, 2003, and I said their 2002 album. Oops. In the album intro, I actually didn't even list when it came out. That's my bad. Something I forgot to do. That's fine. Mistakes happen. Regardless, we move forward. Number 1, Going Under. And I mean, oh man, minus like any rapping that could have been in this song, it's like what a true nu metal-ish kind of start to this album. I know I said they weren't quite nu metal, but you can definitely feel the tinges of it here. The instrumentation, the tone of the music, like it's all here realistically. So I think that's a little funny. Even though like they would not fit that scene at all, I can tell you that much. Kind of. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just going to keep rambling about that. Let's do with a blanket statement for the entire album, because I mean, I could say this for pretty much every song on this whole thing. Say what you will about Evanescence, like, if you're in my age range, you grew up, again, either like adoring or hating this album, or maybe you just never cared about it, period. But it was massive. You couldn't escape it. So, like, you were either one of those, like, kind of emo kids, or, you know, you were like me and doing other things, I guess. I don't know. But regardless of what you have to say about this album, Amy has an absolutely ridiculous voice. She's just a fantastic singer without question. Like, I don't think there's any debate in that. She has a fantastic range, especially emotionally, too. I mean, like, she hits those soft emotional parts, and she mixes that in with those more intense sections. She's incredible overall. Again, I could say that about absolutely any song on this album, like any Evanescence song, period. Even to this day, she still sounds absolutely amazing. So it's a very strong feature to have on this album, and really kind of like puts that nail in the coffin as to why it was like so popular and still is realistically. And the vocals and their harmonies are a lot of what carries the song, I feel, because the instrumentals altogether are just generally pretty run-of-the-mill, even for its time. But I mean, there is this like sequence synth bass that you can kind of hear in the verses very quietly in the background. I think it's the very underrated driver of the verses altogether. Like, I didn't even really notice it until I was wearing headphones. So now that I heard that, it kind of gave me a bit more of an appreciation for the song than I think I've ever had. But it's a solid start to the album, though. I mean, it kind of gives you a little bit of everything to expect moving forward. So I think we should just keep diving into these singles, including the absolutely massive number 2, Bring Me to Life. That wasn't a poop joke, by the way. I'm sorry. And as the song fades away, I'll just kind of pause it there anyways. Song number 2, Bring Me to Life. I challenge you to find anyone within the age range of like 20 to 50 who would have like been like in their prime when this song, I guess not 20, I guess. But, you know, find someone within the age range of 20 to 50 who never heard of this song or haven't like heard it to death already, even on alternative radio and everything like that, it still gets played a lot to this day. It's huge. And I would like to start this part of the review of this song with kind of a personal anecdote, and it's very much related to this, and so that's why I think it's kind of funny. So we're going back to roughly 2004, 2005. So the song's been out for about a year or two. I was a participant at the Ray Lyles Academy of the Arts music video production summer camp. Now, there was a couple of this. I went to a few of these summer camps, one or two of them as a participant, and then one or two of them as a way of doing my high school community hours. So like I was helping younger kids do this kind of stuff and everything like that. But when I was a participant, I was put into a group of girls to make a music video, and they chose this song. And it was perfect that they chose that, and I think they did that with me in mind, because at least there was a male part. I could have just been a background dude, like playing bass or whatever, but no, I guess they wanted me to have more a part of it, so whatever. I was the cool dude singing, and yes, playing bass, because Paul McCoy definitely plays bass, doesn't he? But it's really humiliating. I have it on VHS somewhere. As a matter of fact, I was going to throw it in like right here in editing if I happened to have found it before I started editing, but unfortunately I haven't. I have it somewhere. So if you indeed want to see me humiliate myself online, please like the video and please leave a comment telling me that you want me to humiliate myself online, that you want to see this really embarrassing footage. I will censor everyone else's face, obviously, because remember, we were like 15 or 16, so I'm not going to put a bunch of underage kids in my video with their faces fully visible and everything like that. And it's just going to be a clip too, and it's just me because I give permission to have myself uncensored and everything like that. But yeah, if you want to see how goofy I looked when I was 15, by all means, let me know. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing my dumb teenage face. Anyways, onto the song now itself. I thought that was just entertaining to share. I was praying when this song came on, I was praying this was the version without Paul McCoy. Paul McCoy is the lead singer of the band 12 Rounds. And there is a version that doesn't have his voice in it, which is far more preferable. Honestly, like, fuck the label for wanting him in the song. Not him specifically, but I think the story is that they wanted a male presence in the song because they knew this would be the driving single of the entire album. And you're saying that knowing that you have Amy Lee on vocals in this song, and the whole thing is like catchy, it's powerful, and just like her voice carries the song itself. So do you really need that male singer? Like, oh my God, it's frustrating. It's annoying. I don't know. Fuck the label for making that decision and making them choose that. The building in the song is really nice, and I mean the first verse is what I'm trying to say. It's really bare bones. The second one has way more of a drum presence to it, and the chorus, of course, has that big swelling momentum, just moving the entire song forward. So, I mean, this song is decent. It is good. It's very catchy. It's well written. It's very like in a very poppy metal sense. It's very, very well written. But between parts of me yelling at my monitor for Paul to shut the hell up, I will say that the back and forth in the bridge that they have with the vocals was actually very fitting. It did work. That was fine, but to be honest, it works just as well without him being there. A lot of my review of this song is, I like this, but fuck the vocals, like specifically Paul McCoy. Nothing against the guy. I don't even know 12 Rounds. I haven't heard that band, but it's not working here. Fuck the label. That's the end of that note. Anyways, let's move on to song number 3 now. Everybody's Fool. All right, so pausing it there. Song number 3, Everybody's Fool. Again, front-loaded album, all the singles are right here in the beginning. There's so much of this track that reminds me of a combination of the first 2 songs, minus Paul McCoy. Thank you very much. I'm not going to continue on with that rant, I promise. The one thing I really liked about the song, though, were the chugging guitars in the verses, and they're actually really pleasing because the groove of that matched with the drums, I think really creates this really fun flow to the entire song, or at least to the verses. So I was kind of enjoying the way the verses felt, kind of a little bouncy and just, I don't know, everything was kind of like sparse, but yet all met up properly. I don't know. It's a weird way to explain it. It's mixed well, composed well. I really like it. It's fine. I am kind of on a coin flip or not, though, of whether or not the ending was actually stuck properly. The last chorus had power to it, but the very ending kind of diminished it, I think. I mean, it's a decent enough track, but it probably missed the landing overall. It kind of felt a little underwhelming towards the end, despite having that power to it. I think it just kind of could have done something a little more grand, but I don't know. Regardless, it's fine. Still in that coin flip, but where I stand as of this moment, it works. I'm fine with it. With that said, as I fumble my words, we go on to the final single of the album, song number 4, My Immortal. And remember, this is the demo version I'm listening to, so I'm going to keep the band version in mind, though, I promise. I'm going to pause it, but just quick question at the end there. Is there Morse code going on? You can hear like the like that kind of noise going on very faintly in the background. Is there actually real Morse code? Anyone decode that message? I don't know. I only just noticed it now, and I already wrote a review of the song. Didn't hear it that time. But anyway, song number 4, My Immortal. So I want to go back again in saying that, again, I understand that this is a demo version, and song number 12, My Immortal, is the full band version that appears in the music video. And I understand that Amy didn't want this version on the album, but the label was just like, no, we'll just keep it. It's fine. Derp derp. Like, I don't really know why they wanted it. You can clearly hear why she probably didn't want it on the actual full release, because it feels very underproduced. And the volume is kind of like wonky in certain places. The MIDI keys just don't sound that great. Some of the string swells are just like a little out of place and everything like that. And just, I don't know. And with that said, like, I'll still score the song with both versions in mind. I want to keep that very, very clear because, like, again, it's the same goddamn song. I'm not just going to ignore the other version. But it's so baffling that they didn't choose the other version because it was far better done, I would say. Like, there was a lot more to enjoy about it. There was a big break towards the end that had like the heavier guitars coming back in. Like, it was pretty striking. If you wanted to go all the way with this one, do a very, very nice, fully produced version of just Amy and a piano. I think it would be as emotionally striking. So it's a baffling choice. But other notes on the song, though, I should say. This one's actually kind of irrelevant, but I think it's kind of funny. Whoever the hell the writing team was for Kelly Clarkson's Because of You, I think they very clearly stole the chorus to the song, because I think Because of You came out a year or two after this one, so definitely some similarities. Now, I'm gonna stop right here and play them back to back, like on top of each other, just right here now. Hey, quick editor's note, I can't overlay these two songs and play it. I've been nabbed by copyright already because of it, although it was just a claim and not a strike, thankfully. But go listen to the songs for yourself. Maybe you'll understand. I paused for maybe like 2 seconds there, but anyways, you can hear that it was like, they may have slightly changed the pacing and everything like that, and like maybe some of the key, but they're pretty similar, so it's just funny how, I don't know, they matched up so damn easily. Maybe the song was just so popular that they felt the need to take it for themselves. I don't know. I'm not making accusations. I'm just kind of making things up at the top of my head. It just sounds really similar. That's all. Anyways, yeah, as I said, I think there's things about the song that work and don't. Honestly, I feel like the song would have actually felt way better without the strings altogether. As I said, I think it would have been way more emotionally striking to just have Amy and a piano. Would have been really, really well done. Obviously, the song's really pretty. Like, don't get me wrong. It is a very nice track. I'm just not sure why they wanted to cut corners and go without the band version being the official version. Like, I don't know. But even in the official version, I was listening to it, or I mean, the band version, I should say. And I noticed, maybe it's just my headphones, but I also heard it in my speakers too. There was a bit of crackling in that one. So is that one slightly overproduced? Like, I don't know. Not that I'm giving points or deducting points to that, but it's just something worth noting. But it's a very pretty song though, very nice ballad. So it has that going for it. With that said, now we're going to go on to song number 5, and that is Haunted. beep to you too. I don't know. There's a random beep at the end of the song there. I heard that beep a couple times in that track too. Okay. Must be haunted by, or something like that. Haha, funny. Anyway, song number 5, Haunted. Can you believe it? I feel like I should be appreciative, or at least somewhat appreciative of those like spooky backwards piano layers that we get in the beginning. But honestly, it kind of came off to me as a little cheesy. And I get it. The song is called Haunted, so it's going to have that kind of novelty, spooky feel to it. But I don't know. At the same time, just it's not really standing all that well with me. So I don't know if there's really much else to say about it. Wasn't too big of a fan on it. But the song's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not huge on it, but it's not bad. I mean, the vocal layers all work really well together. So that it has that going from it. And that goes from Amy's harmonies to like the choir portions during the bridge and like the guitar solo in the final chorus. I think it's all really well done, really well arranged. So, and I think Amy did the arrangements on this album. So it all worked really well for that. So I do like that. And the song gets better as it goes, which I was appreciating because in the beginning I wasn't digging it too much, but then I found more I liked as I went. Even the chugging guitars in the second verse was really cool. But unfortunately, it was nothing too much more different, and it ends fairly abruptly too. It feels like a bigger idea was trying to be pushed out far too quickly, so they didn't get everything that they wanted to out. And I felt like it could have had like a better ending to it, maybe a bit more of a stretch just to really emphasize the power, but we got what we got. It's what was the 3 minutes and 5 seconds. So yeah, it feels very abrupt, but I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it is a satisfying conclusion, but just I personally didn't get that out of it. So now we can move on. Song number 6 is already highlighted for me. Tourniquet. And I believe this one's a cover. I think I have a note for it, but we'll see. And as it fades out, I'm going to pause because it kind of does bleed into the next song there. Song number 6, Tourniquet. So my very first note comes pretty early in the song too. It's because usually I'm fine with distorted vocals. If you've heard me mention that in album reviews in the past, it's because like I'm always cool with it. I make my own music as well. I do like industrial music. So I mean, like, of course I'm going to use distortion in my vocals. It's not something I really look twice at. But I really don't feel like it suits Amy's voice well at all, especially in this song. It might even be the kind of distortion where it's just way too muffled. If this was a dirtier produced song, then I think I can get behind it, but it's very brief, thankfully, but just, I don't think it worked that well. It just didn't, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. I haven't heard the original version of this song, by the way, so if she's just masking that or like doing what they did in that song, that's fine, I guess, but I don't think it sounds that great. She doesn't need the distortion on her voice. And so there's one thing that stood out to me the most in this song, and there's not a lot that did, and I'll get to that point in a minute, but I have a question about one thing I heard in the song, and specifically to you, the Evanescence fan, listening to me talk about this. You obviously love this album enough, and you know enough about the band. There's a part in the bridge, towards the end of the bridge in the middle, like, where there's a screaming voice in there. Is that actually Amy screaming, like, briefly in that portion of the track? Like, is she known for this at all? Because as far as I'm concerned, like, obviously I've not listened to the Evanescence discography. I've heard this full album. But other than that, like, I only know the singles. Has she ever done something like that? Is that actually her doing it? I couldn't find any other credits to give it anything else to. I don't know. So if that was her, I mean, it was quiet, but I mean, I dig it. It sounded cool. I get why she wouldn't want to do it a lot. It would damage her vocal cords. And I mean, obviously she's a fantastic singer, so wouldn't want that. But yeah, was that actually her though? I'm very curious. Good job on that though. I do like it, no matter if it's not her. Like, it was just like a nice little quiet touch to throw in there. And yeah, I know this is a cover, but like, quite honestly, they should have chosen literally anything else. The song blends into the album well enough, but I think a little too well, because there's not really anything here that sticks out to me as a good standalone song. So like, if you wanted me to put on this album, there's a very low chance that I would actually put this one on. The chorus wasn't even like, it was catchy, I guess, but I mean, it's just one of the least impactful choruses on the album. So I'm just sitting here like, hoping for something else. Didn't really get it, so it's fine. But no problem though, maybe it'll make up for itself with song number 7, Imaginary. And as the song fades away, I guess I'll just pause it right there. Song number 7, Imaginary. And right off the top, one of the very first notes I can make is the fact that it was a really solid transition from the previous track into this one. Great continuity right there. It doesn't really happen that often. It doesn't really happen at all in this album where you just get that bleed over like that. This one really worked. I like it. Good job for that. Smart, because it was the same chord and everything like that kind of going all the way through. So it works. And I can also really appreciate the more like acoustic and unplugged feeling of the verses in the songs, and it contrasts nicely with the choruses. I know other songs on the album kind of do that as well, but there was something that felt different about this one that I actually just liked more, so I'm definitely going to give that some points. I think the biggest thing I'm noticing right now, though, like specifically at this point in the review, is that I think they've just kind of hit a wall of writing everything so similarly that you can't really tell songs from one another. Like, it's getting difficult to tell them apart. There's so many of them that are written, like the composition is like almost the dead same, and just like you can anticipate everything that's going to happen. So nothing really feels exciting the further you get into this album. Like, I wonder, can like any Evanescence fan, like, can you actually do like the 1 second challenge with like the entire Evanescence discography and know where the hell you are in it? Because like, I would just be like, I don't know, that could be a million songs. That's just the way I feel about it. I don't know. It's not necessarily a bad song. It's still enjoyable, but I'm just noticing the deep similarities of almost every single track on the album so far. The Paper Flowers line, though, is really catchy, so I like that. It's pretty solid, so at least it has that much going for it. But other than that, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Not as exciting as most people have said the album is so far. Not necessarily disliking it, but it's not, I don't feel like it's going to get too high. Let's just say that much. But I can be proven wrong, so let's take a long look at song number 8, Taking Me Over. All right, I'm probably just going to go ahead and pause it right there anyways. That's fine. Song number 8, Taking Me Over. I almost said Take Me Over, but it's Taking Me Over. Listen, I'll be honest. It's not even that I didn't like the song. I mean, it's fine. Just like the other ones on the album, it's fine. But like, as I mentioned in the last track, it's getting difficult to tell these songs apart. And having something fresh to say in each of these tracks, like the farther that we get through this album, becomes far more difficult for me to do. So I'm starting to really pull at straws here, trying to find anything I can. The only thing I could really pull out, something that I at least enjoyed too, is that very briefly in the song, there are some parts of like these weirder screeching guitars and like vocal glitching. I thought that was really cool. It would have been better if that was like more of an element of the song altogether. I would have appreciated that. But it was very brief, so not enough for me to grab onto, unfortunately. And other than that, it's all just pretty straightforward cut and paste compositions. Like, I don't know. There's not enough I can say anymore. I've already run the well dry, and we're not even at the end of the album yet. So hopefully something will change as we move forward. And I have a feeling that might be song number 9, Hello. Well then, song number 9, Hello. This is about as close as we get to wanting that straight up ballad of mainly just Amy and piano for the whole song that I was talking about during My Immortal. This is definitely what we're getting here. And I mean, on that too, with the nature of this album and the other tracks that we've been given so far, I figured this one had to have been like far more personal for her just from the way this one sounds. And it's literally just her in solitary for the most of the time. It's a very cold track and everything like that. And geez, was it ever quite the personal track. So, I mean, I even like looking at the lyrics, you could tell something's up. And I couldn't put the lines together like immediately, but upon further reading, I found out that lyrically she's talking about the death of her 3-year-old sister. This happened when Amy was 6, and it's just about her processing that then and processing it now kind of deal. And I mean, it's really heavy stuff. I crack jokes throughout these reviews sometimes and just haha this, that, and the other thing, but like this isn't one of those times. That's heartbreaking stuff, and apparently it's still hard for her to talk about to this day, I should say. So and apparently it's never been played live either. And listen, I don't blame her. I mean, this is you got it out in the world. It could be therapeutic to do that, but like, yeah, you don't need to keep playing it live as a constant reminder of everything, you know. It's performed somber, but really, really beautifully. And I mean, there's a couple of moments in there of like higher pitched notes that really kind of caught me off guard that I thought sounded really nice. So I don't know. This one caught me by surprise altogether, considering I've been talking about how repetitious this album is. This one still has a composition that is slightly repetitive, but at the same time, it's just the emotional stakes in this song, I feel, are so much higher, and therefore is so much more impactful. Not that every song has to be this way, but the fact that we're being hit with this so late into the album, I think, is definitely a driver. So I really like it. I really appreciate it, and it's nice to have. Obviously, we got a couple more songs left here, so the energy is going to pick it back up from here. Catch your breath, catch yourself for a minute here. Song number 10, My Last Breath. You know, it sounds like the ending was kind of starting to pick up a little bit there. And of course, that's the part where the whole song fades out, huh? Song number 10, My Last Breath. In kind of tying in that note I just had about the outro, kind of like picking up the intensity a little bit there. With the intro of the song being like the synthesized sequence, it immediately felt new. And I was actually kind of excited for it. And I was like, okay, where are we leading us? Because I mean, the last song was just like a straight up ballad that kind of changed the mood of the album. So then maybe this song could, like, you know, pick the energy back up in a different way. But aside from like certain instrumental choices, it went right back to being in that super comfortable and familiar territory. So it's just like, it's kind of a letdown altogether. I don't know. It's not the worst song on the album by far, but I mean, it wasn't as exciting to come back to. I did like that intro though. That was cool. But with that said though, like, I'm kind of with my back against the wall again, about having nothing fresh to say. It's not a terrible track, but nothing really all that outstanding about it. So here I am, giving thumbs up and getting ready to move on to the next song. I'm sorry that review was short, but like, I'm running out of things to say. I'm not kidding. It's a good thing that we're at technically the final track on this album, song number 11. That would be Whisper. I can probably, I don't know, just pause it right there. It's fine. It's just getting quieter. It's the same thing over and over again type deal. That's fine. It's almost like it's going out with a whisper. Yeah, there you go. Song number 11, Whisper. Oop, my notes just blew up on my computer here. I have to rearrange myself real quickly. That's what I get for making stupid jokes, by the way. But anyways, yeah, song number 11, Whisper. So I know that a number of tracks on this album had some like electronic elements kind of scattered throughout, especially with like the sequence basses and everything like that, and the drum machines. But there's something about the way that this song did it that I think I enjoyed a lot more than the others. Like, those verses were really cool. I love the way those sounded. So that was interesting to me. I was like, okay, good. This is something good to carry with me through this track. And the final run, of course, has had this like really nice intensity and progression to them. So I was actually like far more interested to get through this one as compared to some of the other ones on this album. So I felt like there was a lot going for this one too. Like it was nice to have these kind of like touches of interesting things through the similar compositions I've been complaining about for the entire album at this point. So that's cool. It had that going for it. I'm not huge on the ending altogether, though. I mean, it feels very anticlimactic and not really the best compliment to the rest of the song. I like the way it was flowing. I like the way everything sounded. And then like Amy's vocal parts towards the end before like the music faded out and it was just like the strings and the choir and everything like that. I thought that all sounded really cool. But then, yeah, just it kind of fell off. It kind of killed the momentum, and it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like the appropriate ending to the song, to the album. So, I don't know, a little let down by it, but it's not a bad song. Again, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit, but I had to deduct some points for how it made me feel all together in the end. And you know, it's we're at the end of the album now, so I can actually go ahead, slip off my headphones and get a little more cozy, I guess. It's not even necessarily a bad album, but it feels repetitive before too long, as I've mentioned way more than once. There's some highs and lows all over the place. Production is solid all across the record, except maybe like one or two tiny little parts. And as I started my review, I should say, by saying that Amy's voice is ridiculous. I mean, I stand to that point at the end of this album too. As I said, like I made that very clear in the beginning. I just want to re-emphasize it now. The biggest treat of me listening to this was being able to listen to such an amazing singer such as her. So that was nice, because I don't think I would have cared enough about this album if it was anyone else on vocals. If this was like a Paul McCoy fronted album, oh boy, it's been a while since we have a D tier album, eh? But no, don't worry about it. I don't think it's going to be that low. I think it's going to be fine. But with that said, we are at the end of the album now, so I can go ahead and get Spotify off the screen, because you know what we got to do now. We got to rank the song. So for the first time while I'm standing, boom, right there, look at that. The numbers show up. They're here hanging out with me. 1 through 11. We got to rank the songs. Best to worst, or worst to best, not so great to great, least favorite to favorite, least preferred to preferred. However you want to cut the cake, just make sure that the slices are adequate and that we get enough out of them. Please and thank you. With that said, I think I can go ahead and actually give you my rankings now, because that's kind of part of the thing that you want to hear from this entire podcast. So let's do that. So number 11, Tourniquet. 10, Taking Me Over. 9, Haunted. 8, Imaginary. 7, Going Under. 6, Everybody's Fool. 5, My Last Breath. 4, Whisper. 3, bronze medal goes to Hello. 2, It's Bring Me to Life. Yeah, that didn't make the gold. No, it did not. Number 1 was actually My Immortal. Funny enough that I complained about the demo version of this song, but going with the official version, I think just did a lot more. So I don't know. It was more enjoyable. And I used to make fun of this song a lot when I was younger. Okay. When I was a teenager, I used to laugh at it, but now here I am putting it as number 1 on the album on the RTR podcast. Oh, how times have changed over the last 20 years, huh? Well, anyways, there are my song rankings. That was fun. So now those can disappear. I have to learn where to stand in these things. This is what's going to drive me crazy about not sitting anymore, because I'm probably over here like blocking part of the screen. Anyway, with that out of the way, look, the words are there. Isn't that lovely? Rate the record. That means that's what I have to do right now on the podcast. It's the most important time of the podcast, the title track itself, Rate the Record. So what did I think about it? Well, obviously I've had my complaints about it. As I said, it has its highs and lows. There you go. I can speak properly. It was not a Paul McCoy fronted album, so it is indeed not a D tier album. But for the 4th time in a row in season 7, we have another B tier album on our hands. 73.18. That is a B- in the RTR book. Yes, we have another B tier album, B- to be specific. And I guess the good news is I agree with Entertainment Weekly and The Village Voice. They also gave it a B-. And listen, B- is not bad, okay? As much as I poke fun at B tier albums on this show, that is still far above half, damn near 3/4 of the entire score. So tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where that's bad, right? Anyways, that can disappear now because I've rated the record. There it is. It's all done. That means we are at the end of this episode. So thank you very much for tuning in today, hanging out with me, and checking out this album. And if you did indeed check out this album, you got to do me a favor down below in the comments of wherever you're listening, because there's comment sections everywhere, audio, video, it doesn't really matter. Down in those comments, please let me know what you thought about this album. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you like Evanescence? How would you rank the songs? How would you rate the record? Do you agree or disagree with me? All these things and more. Let me know down below, because I want to have these discussions. I want to hear your opinions on these things. I'm always very interested. That's kind of the whole point of this podcast. So please go ahead and do that. I'd be truly appreciative. Thank you very much. I'd also appreciate it if you did the whole like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow thing. You know, the thing I said in the beginning, the thing I have to repeat because the YouTube algorithmic gods need me to say it more than once. So please go ahead and do those things. Just reminding you in case you haven't done it yet. Support means the world. Thank you very much. And of course, you can find all the places to do those things over at ratetherecord.ca. Streaming links, social media links, the RTR album chart, and the RTR club can all be found at ratetherecord.ca. Just kind of wrapping it all up there, just by repeating everything I said at the beginning. So yeah, I'm done. I can let you go now. So once again, thank you very much for joining me, hanging out. Make sure you come back next week for the next episode of the podcast. And of course, the NMRs are coming out on Fridays, so make sure that you're checking out those too. But in the meantime, go listen to even more awesome music, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care, friends.